We're hearing a lot from employers around soft skills. So trying to find a candidate that has really strong soft skills. And I'm just interested to hear from you, from an employer's perspective, from somebody who has teams and large teams. What's most important to you around the soft skills piece, and how do you test that? How do you assess it, interview or throughout the assessment process?
I have a lot of thoughts on that actually, because one of the things that has been interesting for me, I ran a large enough team at CNN, I run a team of journalists, young and older at Glamour, and one of the things in particular with young talent, I'm looking at their ability to have a coffee, have a meeting, pick up a phone. And I know these sound like really basic things, but some of the younger people I've worked with in the past are really good at DMs. They live in a digital world, and I want that knowledge and I want all of that from them. I want them to tell me what people are using and how they're engaging in the stories that they care about. But sometimes they're afraid to pick up the phone because they haven't lived in a world where you have phone calls. And sometimes they're a little nervous to go and have the coffees in the meeting. And those old school soft skills are really as important, if not more important, in the digital world, because there is so many people that can come in with this digital knowledge, in particular the next classes of people that are coming out of business school or the next people that are coming out of journalism school. They have this great digital knowledge because they're native to it, right? They've grown up with it. But I don't want that to be sacrificed for those old school skills. So I will often ask, and you kind of try to get a sense, like, you know, early on with some of the assistant editors, if I'm like, well, have you tried that person? And if the answer is, yeah, I tried them so many times, and I'm like, have you picked up the phone? And the answer is no, you're like, you need to have a phone call, pick up the phone.
For me, I focus on two things because consulting is super varied and quite stressful because the client comes first in a lot of situations. So I look for two things: curiosity, because you're always going to be learning. You could be told you're going to a client tomorrow, next week, that you have never worked at before. So are you curious? And are you compassionate? Accenture's a really big place, and we have our chief HR officer, Ellen, she kind of coined a term a few years ago called truly human, which is very important to us about bringing your whole self to work and having a high EQ. And we try and put a real importance on that. And that, for me personally, manifests itself in compassion.
I mean, we talk a lot in business schools around networking, the word.
Dirty word.
Lots of people hate the word networking, so I stopped using that word and I start to use building relationships.
It's just relationships. It's not networking, it's relationships.
And this is exactly what I want to ask you guys about that. So what advice would you give to people who are incredibly fearful of networking, or however you want to, whatever turn of phrase you want to use, and how can they get better at that?
I think one of the most underlooked networking relationships are the ones you have with your peers. And I think sometimes people go in, like, come from business school, or they come and they're like, I need to know the CEO, or I need to know the chief executive. The reality in my career, some of the people I've learned the absolute most from are my peers. They've gone on to do different things across industries, across the media, and having that great center of knowledge and relationships with your peers can actually in the long term be much more valuable than coming in fresh as a 21-year-old and going, all of my relationships are going to be with the 60-year-old CEOs and chief executives. So I think that my advice is don't underestimate the value of relationships with your peers. And also, I think one of the things, because I do as an editor and boss sometimes get people cold call me or cold LinkedIn me. Don't go straight in with the ask. This is for me personally. Don't go straight in. If you're going to have a relationship, come for coffee, go for lunch, have a mutual conversation. It is very disconcerting as somebody in a leadership role if somebody comes straight in as give me a job. What do I want? Tell me everything. You can't. I think it's sometimes it's nerves. They just want to get the ask out. But often you don't get the ask out till the fourth or the fifth meeting. And it is about building those relationships. And some of the jobs that I've had have been out of never needing an ask, but again, having a relationship with people, and when something has come up, being like, oh, you should put your hat in the ring for that. So peers, and don't go straight in with the ask.
I think it's quite encouraging for us that I'm starting to see, as Sam said, people that we've known since our early 20s are the decision makers now. I mean, we have obviously one right here, and That gives you faith, but that's a retrospective thing, to just do what's natural. So make friends would be one of my recommendations. I think we came from a social group of people where we loved introducing women, particularly to other women, and have formed a real culture of trust in our friendship group. And those people then end up being potentially your advisors, or you might hire one of them, or they might become your client. And so that's one thing, is just have a little bit of faith that if you form the right connections with people over time, they could potentially become very rewarding. Just a couple of pieces of simple advice: take a friend to networking events. Say, if you come to this one, I'll come to one. And it doesn't have to be someone who works in your industry, but it kind of helps you get over the idea of standing at the posy table with the glass of warm white wine alone. And just take someone who's up for a laugh, you never know, you might get a date or whatever.